Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalatu wassalamu ala rasulihil kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man istanna bi sunnatihi ila yawmiddin. My dear brothers, inshallah ta'ala, today we'll start our Seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The place we stopped last week is the place we talked about the wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and after that we talked about the slander of Aisha radhiyallahu ta'ala anha. So today we'll talk about the battle of the Khandaq, the major battle happened in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But before that, because as we mentioned before, that the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina is basically all the battles that happened in the last 10 years of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we'll quickly have a look that what we talk about the battles of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As we said before the battle of Badr, before we started, that we said that there is two types of jihad in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One type of jihad is called Ghazwa in Arabic, which is a jihad where Rasulullah participated. And in the books of the Seerah, it said there are almost 19 of these battles, but there's 8 of them, the major one. And there are other things called Seerah. Seerah means the expedition that Rasulullah told the other Sahaba and instructed the other Sahaba to participate, and he was not there. And there's more than 30-40 of them, and there's no fixed number, but there's at least no less than 40 of them. So now the 8 main battle that we're going to talk about in the Seerah, inshallah ta'ala: Badr, that we have already finished; Uhud, then the battle of Muraisiyah or Badr Mustalak, we have finished that one too. In that one which all the tribes become Muslim at the end, if you remember. So then the Khandaq or Ahzab that we'll start talking about today. Then we have Khaybar, Makkah, then the conquest of Makkah, and then the Taif and Hunain. So these are the main 8 battles most of the books of the Seerah describe. So we are at the middle, number 4 today. So inshallah ta'ala, if Allah permits, then before the Ramadan start, we should be able to finish all the battles and the Seerah, inshallah ta'ala. So I'm hoping that before the Ramadan, mid of the June probably, so we will finish the Seerah of Rasulullah. So let's talk about the topic that we'll talk today in the part 1 of Battle of Khandaq. What we'll discuss today: the name of the battle, obviously, what does it mean, when did this battle happen, and the reason for this battle, and the enemy side and their tactics, and what did the Muslim side did, and what was the initial plan, and the 2 important lessons from the 2 related stories from this one. So now the name of the battle, as you all know, that this is called Battle of Khandaq, and it has another name, Ahzab. Now the Khandaq means the trench. We all learn about this battle. This is the special battle where Rasulullah dig a trench around the Medina, and that's why it's called the Battle of Khandaq. And another name of this battle is Battle of Ahzab, and Ahzab means confederate, or in simple English language, group of all tribes. Because this is the war, this is the battle where all the Arab tribes, most of the Arab tribes, gathered together to fight against Islam. Before the last 3 battles, 2 of them were with the Quraysh. As you all know, Badr, where Abu Jahl was killed and all the big leaders of the Quraysh were killed. Then Uhud, where Muslim had an apparent defeat, and Abu Sufyan was the leader, that is also with the Quraysh. And then the 3rd one with a tribe called Banu Mustalak, like a special tribe called Banu Mustalak. Now this one is all the tribes of the Arab land gathered together to fight Islam. They want to finish Islam all together from the face of the earth. And from this one we will go to the next one and the next battle. So this is the meaning of the name. Now when did the battle occur? There are differences of opinion. One of the explicit hadith, authentic hadith in Bukhari, which is narrated by Ibn Umar, where he said that I was 14 in the Battle of Uhud, and I went to participate in Battle of Uhud. So he was 14 and he wanted to take part in the Battle of Uhud. Ibn Umar is the son of Umar ibn al-Khattab, as you all know, the famous muhaddis of the Ummah. So Ibn Umar was 14 in the Uhud, and he said in the Bukhari, it is narrated in the Bukhari authentic hadith, that I was 14 in the Uhud, so I couldn't take part. Rasulullah found me and he sent me back because 14 is not enough to do the battle. Then I became 15 in the Battle of Khandaq, and I participated in Battle of Khandaq. So it means the battle happened Khandaq after the next year of Uhud. Now Uhud happened in 3rd year of the Hijrah. So according to this hadith, the Imam Bukhari, Imam An-Nawawi, Imam Ibn Hazm, Ibn Shihab, all these scholars says there must be battle happen 4th year of the Hijrah, because on the 3rd year he was 14, on the 4th year he became 15. But all of the other, there are other materials and other things, and most of the Seerah scholars said no, this is happened on the 5th year of Hijrah. Although there is explicit hadith, but there are other topics and other incidents gathered together, they decided no, this battle happened in the 5th year of Hijrah. But for us it doesn't matter whether it's 4th year or 5th year, we just want to know about the history and what happened there and what is the lesson we can get from there. But there is two opinions, and Imam Bayhaqi, there's another scholar of the past, he said maybe he became 15 at the end of that year. So it could be like, in the Battle of Uhud he was just 14, but then the whole 14 years passed and he was 15, and 15 was about to finish, and that time it became happened. So this is how they reconcile. But in the Seerah it's very difficult. There's no timetable, no video camera, or no registry who's going to write down what's going to happen, what is the date and everything. So it's either 4th or the 5th Hijrah, but most of the scholars of the Seerah said it is the 5th Hijrah, after the Hijrah of the 5th year, that this battle happened. Now, the reason for this battle, why this battle happened, who instigated the battle? If you remember, there is one of the second Jewish tribes. There was 3 Jewish tribes in Medina: Banu Qainuqa, Banu Nadir, and Banu Qurayza. So Banu Nadir was recently been expelled, and we discussed about that, and we discussed the Surah Al-Hashr. Surah Al-Hashr in the Quran is all about the expulsion of Banu Nadir, what they did and why Rasulullah tell them to move from Medina, because they already planned to kill Rasulullah. They were already planned that Rasulullah was sitting near the fortress and they're gonna put something from the top, and they planned to kill Rasulullah, and Jibril informed Rasulullah, and he left that place. And after that, there are other issues, and we discussed this one before, and this is why Rasulullah said Banu Nadir has to go from the Medina. So they left Medina, and Rasulullah allowed them that you can leave Medina, but you can take anything you want in your camel. So they took all their properties, what they have had. They have lots of things, gold, diamonds, and all these things there, their food and everything in their camel. But you have to leave the weapons. You cannot take your weapons like sword or other things like spear and everything. You have to leave them, but you can take everything else. And they even took, we discussed that, they even took their doors, because they had a high fortress, and the fortress was made of different kind of doors. They even took their doors on the back of the camel. This tribe, Banu Nadir, the Jewish tribe, they were very, very angry. Obviously, they left their home, Medina and everything, and they have big land in Medina. So they want to go back and get this land, because that's the fortune at that time. Half of half of the produce of the Medina came from the land of Banu Nadir, and they want to get back that. So what they did, the Banu Nadir offered Quraysh. So they contacted the Quraysh, and they said, look, we're gonna help you this time. You come and join us, and we're gonna gather together and fight the Muslim. They also informed another tribe, and it's the tribe of Ghatafan. Ghatafan is a tribe in up north of, so Medina is in the middle, south is Makkah in the Quraysh, and on top north up is Ghatafan. So they contacted up and south. And in the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Surah Al-Ahzab, he said that the enemy will come, the enemy is coming from the up and down. So meaning from the north and south. So Allah mentioned that in the Quran also in Surah Al-Ahzab. Also, the Quraysh, why did the Quraysh accepted their offer? Banu Nadir wanted to fight. They offered the Quraysh, okay, come fight with us. Quraysh always wanted to fight with the Muslim, but the Abu Sufyan, the leader of the Quraysh, he asked, okay, we will fight with you, but you tell me there's lots of things similar to your religion and the Muslim religion. Because that's true, if you find the Jewish religion and our religion, there's a lot of similarities. So Abu Sufyan, he was a smart leader. He asked them, why you want to fight with them? Who is then the right path? Then these people said, the Jewish people said, no, they are in the wrong way. The Muslim, they are doing the wrong thing. We are the right path, and you are also closer to us. And Allah mentioned this one in Surah An-Nisa, ayah number 50, that this is what happened. Anyway, they also offered the Ghatafan, the other tribe. The Ghatafan was one of the very aggressive and crude tribe, and they offered him that, we're going to give you half year of the produce of the land of Banu Nadir, and you have to fight with us. And they agreed. So at the end, and they informed other small tribes, 10,000 people gathered together. Not one, not two. It says that almost 10,000 people were gathered together to fight the people of Medina, the Muslim of Medina. And at that time, there are only 2,500 people in Medina. They are like men, 2,500 men against these 10,000 people. And they chose Abu Sufyan as the leader of that attack. Now the Muslim side and their initial plan. So the gathering of 10,000 enemies, obviously the news reached to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he as his sunnah, he called the meeting, he called the shura. They don't know what should we do. Because the enemy is so huge, and nobody could find out what to do. Because this is a big army. It's like they are only 2,500 and 10,000, and how to defend them? And they're coming from all sides, basically, from the top and from the bottom. All of the people are coming together. So a lot of the Sahaba, they didn't know what to do. So at that time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked different opinions of the different Sahaba, and as you all know, that the Sahaba Salman al-Farsi, he was almost 90 years old at that time, but he lived a long life, and he is from Persian, and he has his own story. We will discuss it one day later on. So he gave an idea that, Ya Rasulullah, when I was in the Persian region, what they used to do, they used to dig a trench around the city so that they cannot come to the city. It's like a protection to us, and in that way we can delay the war, and we can do something, and this is one of the methods. And obviously this is a new idea, and Rasulullah accepted that idea and said, yes, we should do that. So all the men, all the 2,500 men, they start digging a trench. So how long was the trench and everything? There's difference of opinion. So the most authentic opinion and most reliable opinion is that the trench was 2 kilometers long. So 2 kilometers means from this mosque probably to where I live, or something like near the ponds or something. So it's almost like 2 kilometers. So it's long land, and 2,500 people was digging the land, and it was 13 feet wide. So from here to the 13 feet, it has like a big trench, a dig, and it is like almost 8 to 9 feet wide. And this is how 8 to 9 feet depth. And why they did that? So that, because if 10,000 people come together, you need a big space. If you have a big trench in the middle, they cannot come over. So they want to make the thing delay. It's like a temporary solution. If they want to come one by one, they can come, but maybe they will stop for a moment, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help them. But also it's not like a permanent solution, it's like a temporary solution. And Rasulullah sallallahu himself took part in the digging, and there are lots of stories. We'll go through them in next week. There are lots of miracles happen at that time, because everybody is working so hard. It is not easy to dig 2 kilometers. 2 kilometers is not a joke. It's a big thing for people. There's no bulldozer at that time, no tractor or anything like that. It's all manual job, and they started doing that one. Another thing, Rasulullah decided that when we're going to work and we're going to fight in the battlefield outside of Medina, at the border of the Medina, all our children and women, they should be in a fortress. Now, as I said, the Jewish had fortress of their own. They have their own building and everything. So one of the group of Ansar, one of the group of Muslim, they also copied one of the fortress. So they also had a fortress, which is not exactly same as the fortress of the Jewish, but they had a fortress like them, and it is called Al-Fari. Al-Fari was a fortress of Banu Harisa. There's a group of the Ansar. So Rasulullah said, all our children and women, they should go to that fortress, and all the elderly people should go there, because they will be safe there. Because nobody here in the protect Medina. And also, we said there are 3 types of Jewish. One tribe is still living in Medina. So Rasulullah is thinking, if we fight outside and all our women and children are in our home, this Jewish tribe, they can flip out, and they can come and attack us. And actually that actually happened. We'll talk about it later. So Rasulullah said, all our women and children and elderly people, they should go to Al-Fari, the fortress of the Ansar, and they should stay there and save themselves. They should all be together at the same place. So this was the plan of the Muslim, the initial plan. Now, this is where we're going to finish today, but there's 2 important stories and 2 important lessons from this. First of all, the idea of digging the trench. As I mentioned, that this is a new idea, so we should understand that, is there any new idea allowed in Islam or not? So if someone gives you a new idea in Islam, is it accepted or not? It is accepted as long it doesn't, conflict with the Sharia. So if someone comes with, you want to do something in this masjid. For example, we put this, the camera and everything. It was not there before. So we say, okay, we're going to video it and we're going to put it in the website. This is a new idea. It was not there before in 1 year ago or maybe 6 months ago, right? Does it conflict with the Sharia or everything? Does it, is it something that any Aqidah issue, any fiqh issue? No, nothing related to that. We are not doing anything haram. We are not doing anything even that not dislike or something. So this is allowed. So, there are a lot of things and a lot of brothers, even in a lot of groups in Muslim, there are two extremists. They don't want to accept anything new. Anything new, they say bidah, bidah, bidah. But that's not right. Because even this idea was not a Muslim idea. It is the idea of the kuffar, the Persian. They used to dig the trench. So although it is the idea of the kuffar, the non-Muslim, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam accepted it because it's good for them. It is helpful for the Muslim. So you can still adopt the thing. So in that one, and there are a lot of examples of these ones, and I want to mention at least 2 or 3 examples. One of the example was that there was a law from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that when you have your child, first child, and the child is breastfeeding, until he finishes his breastfeeding for 2 years, you are not allowed to have another child. Meaning, if you have a child, you cannot have another child in 2 years. Because in the Quran, Allah said, the breastfeeding period, at least for 2 years. This was the rule of the Islam. That you cannot have another child within 2 years. But then Rasulullah told the Sahaba that I heard the Roman and the Persian, they have children every year. So no problem, you can also have it. It's a good thing, no problem. And then he changed the rule. And then now from that one, it is allowed that yes, you can have a child today, and in 11 months or in 1 year, you can have another child. So no problem in that. So this is the customs from the Romans. But Rasulullah said, no, there's no harm in that, so we can accept it. Another thing regarding this kind of thing, one of the time, we'll talk about this later on, that Rasulullah wanted to send a letter to the king of the Roman, to the king of the Syria, and then king of the Persian, and king of the Egypt. He wanted to send a letter to them. And one of the Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, they're not gonna read your letter until you seal them, you wax them. That time you have to seal the letter. From one king, the other letter will go to the another king if the letter is sealed and signed. That was the custom of that time. This is not Islamic thing. This is a thing of those people, of the Roman and the Persian and everything. Rasulullah said, yes, if that is their rule, we should follow this rule. There's nothing wrong in that. So Rasulullah don't know how to sign. As you know, he don't know how to read and write. So he ordered a ring. And the ring has 3 things in the hair. First thing is Allah, then it says Rasul, and then it says Muhammad. And then he put the wax, and he put the ring, and he sealed it up, and sent the letter to them. This is also a new idea, and Rasulullah accepted it, and this idea is from the kuffar. And from this on, also, the scholar has found out that, in masjid, where you put the name of Allah and Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we should not put them in the same place. This is the hadith, because Rasulullah put the name of the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam after Allah, after Rasul, and after that. So that's why it is allowed, and it is permissible, and it is most preferable that you put the name of Allah on the top, and then the name of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam should be not on the same level. It should be at least at the below level, because we should not put in the same. This is the hadith. This is the proof from there. And another thing about this one, that he accepted the letter thing. So there's few things, and there's another thing of this kind of matter that Rasulullah accepted. What happened that initially the law was for the widow and everything that they have to stay in the house of the husband for 1 year. But then later on Allah changed it in the Quran also, and Rasulullah changed it because this is not the custom of that time. So he changed the time of the iddat for 4 months or something like this. So this is what we want to make, we want to get the lessons from that. We can still use, the Muslims can still use the ideas of the non-Muslims and kuffar, as long as there is nothing harming the Sharia or the fiqh or Aqidah issue. The second lesson is an interesting one, the story of one of the Sahaba. The story of Hassan ibn Sabit. Hassan ibn Sabit, who was Hassan ibn Sabit? We talked about him the week before, the last week, when we discussed the slander of Aisha radhiyallahu anha. Hassan ibn Sabit was a middle-aged Sahaba from the Medina. His age was like probably 35, 36, something like this. And he has 2 weaknesses. He was a poet of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He used to write poetry. He could not fight. He could not, he as a man, he could not fight with the sword. He has some weakness. Although there is some description about that, we don't need to go into details because he's a Sahaba. At the end of the day, he's a Sahaba, and we should not say anything bad about it. But we can get some more lessons from his story. That's why you have to describe it. What happened, Rasulullah told all the women and children to go to the fortress, right? As you all know, and all the elderly people. Hassan ibn Sabit also went there because Rasulullah used to know that this Sahaba Hassan, he don't know how to fight properly. He cannot hold the sword and fight. So he went to that. He went to with all the women and the children. And what happened? We'll talk about this later on in details. The enemy, the Jewish tribe, they attacked at night. So two of the people came at night to kill all the children and the women. And the aunt of Rasulullah sallallahu Sufayya bint Abdul Muttalib, she heard those two people is climbing the fortress. She understood something happening. So she told Hassan, because he's the only young man, middle-aged young man among all the women and children. And she said, and this story is described authentic hadith in Musnad ibn Ahmad. She said, the aunt of Rasulullah said, Ya Hassan, go, defend us. There's two people coming. I can hear they're climbing the fortress. Go defend us. Then Hassan said, I cannot do that. Why are you giving me, disgrace? You're making me more shameful. I don't know how to fight. How can I fight these two people? I cannot, I know how to, run the sword and everything. Then the aunt of Rasulullah sallallahu she wrapped up a blanket around her to become as if she's a male, and she took a knife in her mouth. It's just like in a movie. And she climbed down and she caught the first guy and she cut his throat. And then she took the whole head and threw it in the bottom. So the other guy saw that someone is there. Someone already killed my friend, so he left. And then she came back to the inside and she told Hassan, okay, I killed one of them and the other one fled away. You at least go and take the guy's sword and armor. When the guy is dead, he's got his sword and armor. At least you get them, we can use it later. And then Hassan said, I don't need those things. I don't have no use for the sword and everything. So, the aunt of Rasulullah, she became a bit angry and she said, what kind of man you are that you can't do anything? So, so this is a weakness of the Sahaba. But, why I'm telling you these things? But this Hassan ibn Sabit, he was a poet. And Rasulullah said, when the Quraysh, people, they used to send poetry to Rasulullah against Islam, against Rasulullah, he used to call Hassan, oh Hassan, write and defend me. So Rasulullah saying, Hassan, you write a poetry for it. So Hassan was a special secretary of Rasulullah when it comes to poetry. And in the masjid of Rasulullah there was a mimbar, as you all know, where Rasulullah stand up and the khutbah. Rasulullah made another small mimbar beside his mimbar for Hassan. So Hassan can stand up and say the poetry. And those poetry was not against Islam or something. It's about, answering back the people of the time. Because that time, media, as we have channel BBC, CNN, all this channel, poetry was that time. That's the same thing at that time. That was the newspaper, that was the media, that was the BBC and CNN. So Rasulullah needs someone to do these things. And he gave him this honor. When Rasulullah passed away, one day Hassan was standing and doing poetry in the masjid of Rasulullah. This is the time of Umar ibn Khattab. And as you all know, that Umar was a very, very strong and strong man. And he was very strict in rules and regulation. He was very, very strict man, Umar radiallahu anhu. So Umar saw that he is standing in his mimbar and doing poetry in the masjid. So Umar took his stick out and he tried to bash him. So why are you doing poetry in the masjid of Rasulullah? Then Hassan answered, you know why? Because when I did poetry, there was someone better than you in this masjid. And he allowed me to do the poetry. And then he called Abu Huraira. He said, yeah, Abu Huraira, tell Umar. Didn't Rasulullah told me that, yeah, Hassan, go and defend me and Jibril will be with you? So he is describing the hadith from Abu Huraira. And Abu Huraira said, yes, he is right. Rasulullah said, go and defend me with your poetry and Jibril will be with you. How come Jibril is coming with Hassan? Because when he is reading the poetry, Rasulullah said, Jibril will come and help you doing something like this. So this is the honor of Hassan ibn Sabit. So now what is the point of all this story and everything? Most of us, we can get a role model from Hassan. Everybody has his own quality and everything. Not everybody, although we describe Abu Bakr, we describe Umar, we describe Usman, but none of us could be like this. None of us could be Umar and, Abu Bakr. They are high superior Sahaba. They have the way Abu Bakr used to spend his money for this Islam. No, none of us can do this. Rather, we are all similar to this Sahaba. Why? Because he has some problem. He has some weakness. He also, this is nothing that he cannot fight. He also took part in the slander of Aisha radhiyallahu anha. Meaning, there were 3 Sahaba, as I mentioned last week, were punished because they took part in the spreading the rumor of Aisha. And he was one of them. And he was get punished. He got 80 lashes. Because it was a mistake by him. When and he accepted the punishment and is finished. But he has some weakness. But still he has his own role and he played this role. So in our ummah, everybody has a different role. Not everybody is like 6 feet tall and like Umar. And not everybody will go to jihad. Some people has the ability to do some building work. So we need that guy to building something. Some people has the ability to recite nice Quran. So we need him as an imam or teach Quran. Some people has ability to talk about the fiqh and everything. We need that him. Maybe he's from a different people. Maybe he don't know everything else. So what basically we need to know, we need to understand that everybody in Islam has their own role, and we should respect everybody. We should not label everyone, any brother. Okay, no, this brother is from this group. We don't want him in the masjid. He cannot be an imam. He cannot be this thing. No, everybody has their own things, and all of us like this. Can any of us tell that we don't have any sin? We are perfect? No. We cannot be like Umar, Abu Bakr. Yes, we describe their stories. We get the lessons. We get the hadiths from that described. But we are just like these people. So this is the moral of this story. The battle of the Khandaq, we'll know about the battle inshallah ta'ala next week and the week after. But what you're going to know about this, these are the lessons that we should learn from the Seerah and we should implement in our life. So we'll finish it up here inshallah ta'ala. Next week we'll talk about what happened in the battle in the part 2. Jazakallahu khair wa akhir dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.